Special thank you to everyone that's been sending me links to newsreels and what's going on. And one that's sticking out the most in the last 2, 3 days is they're bringing masks back. They're bringing in mandates. They're rolling it back in. Yes, I found a video I made 11 months ago. They're going to redo this. Remember the flow chart we talked about on this channel? Climate change, global warming, whatever it is for the week. Doesn't work. Default, follow flow chart. New variant, follow flow chart. Back to global warming, climate change, forest fires. Follow flow chart, revert back to climate change if it doesn't work, and then scroll back to variant, and it goes in a vicious circle. Now, how do we get around this, or how do we stop this? Well, let's go back and reference a video we made in January of 2020. Now, remember the whole no compliance thing? Don't comply to what they tell you. Don't comply if they knock on your door. Don't comply if they come and ask you questions. Don't comply if they come and ask you how much food you have, because they were kind of doing really sketchy things, right? And we talked about don't comply. You don't need to comply. You don't need to follow public servant orders, especially on your property. Now, we referenced in that video how Vietnam basically ended, and how it's not because America was out of manpower. It wasn't because America was out of bullets and tanks. America built a big industrial militarized complex after America took itself off the gold standard in 1971. So America was free to print money and go to war as heavy as it wanted to. They could have kept that Vietnam thing going for 10, 15 more years. But why did the war end? Non-compliance. The GIs, the soldiers, were starting to tune in to local radio. They were getting word on the ground of the kills and this and the dispatches, what was happening, front lines, forward commanding officers coming forward and not complying. Soldiers started to not comply. Ranking soldiers, upper class, important people of importance in the chain of command were not complying. And that's what happened. Vietnam was wrapped up, or they wrapped up the Vietnam War and had to push helicopters off the sides of ships because soldiers did not comply. They felt they weren't doing the right thing anymore. They started to see what it was all about. Now, that's why a lot of Vietnam War vets were treated like absolute trash when they got back to America. And a lot of them had a hard time finding jobs because they got caught in this trap. They got caught. A lot of them were drafted. A lot of them were forced into this. And that's why the non-compliance ended that war. And we can end this war. Oh, Mike, they're going to be bringing masks. They're doing this. They're mandatory. If you just don't comply and you respectfully say, look, it did nothing last time. You ran this for 2 years. It didn't work. Leave me alone. Start filing human rights complaints or whatever you have to do. Don't comply. That's how Vietnam wrapped up their war, because they're listening to underground radio. They started understanding what was happening, and the people started to, again, all levels of command just started to break down, and they had to wrap the war up and pull the plug because of non-compliance. So I thought I'd rehash that and bring that back again for you guys. Thanks for all the emails and messages and stuff. Really appreciate it. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Mike Martins here. I have spoken.